Media is the fourth pillar of our society, and today we have somebody representing that fourth pillar. We have with us Anna Burns at the PIX head office today. She's a journalist with Surrey Now Leader, and she's gonna reveal her life's journey with us today. I'm pretty excited about the same. How do you feel, Anna?
I'm excited. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so Anna, as you know that at Stranger Story, we talk about inspirational journeys of people. And I've seen you quite active with, your professional career.
Mm-hmm.
But I was always interested, I don't know why, to know, where is this inspiration coming from? Maybe somebody has passed it to you. So let's talk about, I know you are born in Canada, but where were you born and how was your childhood like?
Yeah, so I was born in Calgary, Alberta. I have an older brother who now lives in New York with his family, and my parents still live in Calgary. And my childhood was awesome. I had a really fun childhood. My grandparents lived on the island when I was a kid, so we spent a lot of time going out there. And they actually were journalists. Before I was born, they worked for papers like the Globe and Mail, and my grandma was actually one of the first female journalists in Canada.
Oh my God. Okay, so that's in the blood.
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
So journalism flowing in your blood. So when did you decide that, you wanted to follow the same profession?
So I always thought, I always looked up to journalists, and I thought it was such a cool profession, but I was like, I can't do it. It's too scary. And I worked in nonprofits in East Africa and in Canada for a combined time of about 10 years. And before the pandemic hit, I moved back from Uganda to Langley in British Columbia in the Lower Mainland. And because of the pandemic and whatnot, it gave me a lot of time to think, and I didn't have a job at the time, and I thought I loved photography and also wanted to learn some more skills about how to interview well, how to, there's a lot of ethics and also skill that go into journalism, and I wanted to learn that, and I felt the best place I could learn that was at school, a journalism school, and there was a program in Calgary at the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology, SAIT for short, that 2-year diploma with a focus in photojournalism. So I did that, and still didn't think I was going to go into journalism when I graduated. I was just going to go into it and then go back to nonprofits. And it wasn't until I did a practicum at the Surrey Now Leader, where I am now, that I realized that I love journalism. That's where I've been ever since.
So for viewers watching this, maybe they're interested in journalism and pursuing that career. So what's the difference between a photojournalism and maybe other journalism?
Yeah, it's a good question. So photojournalism is essentially just photography. So you're trained the same way as a journalist to gather skills, and there's all these rules that you have to follow. Like, you're not allowed to, when I edit photos, I can't, if someone has a zit on their face, for instance, I can't edit it out. And if you do, you actually can be fired, because the whole idea is representing the truth. And if you, just as in a story, if I change the facts about something, that's not representing the truth. So photojournalism focuses more on the visual aspect, as journalism focuses more on the writing aspect. But in today's day and age, especially here in the Lower Mainland and elsewhere in Canada, it's very hard to get a job as a photojournalist. So you kind of had to do everything, which is what I do. So I had to work really hard to build my writing skills, because my training is more in the photography. So now I kind of do everything.
So master of all trades, basically.
Yeah.
But the key point to note here is, whatever journalism you're doing, ethics is the main thing, right? There's so many people who would really consider ethics as, as a normal thing, but then people breaking ethics, and then people like me, who were once a journalist, are not a journalist anymore for the specific reason of ethics not being followed. I remember my teacher used to say it in the class, a bad story is a good story for a journalist. Is that true?
I think it depends what makes it bad. I think...
So she used to say, just to clarify, all bad stories get front page attention. Like, if there is a big accident, somebody is dying, it's gonna be a front page thing, like especially with the people that are known.
Yes.
So that was our thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is so bad.
It's true. And I do think so our paper is a community newspaper for Surrey, which is the second biggest city in British Columbia. So it's not small town at all. So our paper is a little bit different, but I think the benefits of community news is that you can put the more unique stories out there. Like some of our biggest stories are things like a restaurant people love closing down. Because we're community news and we're Surrey specific, people come to us for those kind of stuff. Now, granted, the hard news, like the car crashes, the trials, people want to know that. It is always going to be the biggest news, and there's not really much we can change it. Especially weather stories are often our top. But I think, that, again, the benefits of being a community newspaper is that we can put a lot of those unique stories that you might not hear on the bigger networks.
I think I completely agree with you. But then there's one more question I have, like, because newspaper stories are covered the next day, right? Potentially. But with social media and digital media, I mean, the stories are just on the flow. You can't even wait for a second. So how do you guys manage this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have policies and protocols for breaking news. And our reporters are in the Lower Mainland are in union. So like there's kind of set hours that we are expected to work and not outside those hours unless it's voluntary based. So sometimes it does mean that we don't cover crashes or we don't cover homicides until the next day, unfortunately. But that's just the way it is. Normally, I would say 9 times out of 10, we do cover it.
That's amazing. Yeah. So, and coming back to your personal story, this is a completely a job that is very demanding, right? So with your personal life, how do you manage the work-life balance?
Yeah, it's a good question. It takes a lot out of me. I am more introverted, and this job demands me to be out in front of people. So I just make sure that my mental health is in check. I go to therapy, I exercise. On the weekends, which is my weekend's a bit different, Sundays and Mondays, I make sure to spend a lot of time with my partner, and she loves being outside. So we try and go on hikes and really try and eat well. And because we get exposed to a lot of secondary trauma. So I'm not experiencing the trauma, but I'm seeing photos from the car crash. I'm in the court cases where I'm hearing these horrific details, and whether I want it to or not, that has a lasting impact.
I mean, yeah, so that's the thing. I always tell this to people, like, they keep complaining about my job, this person said this to me. But then there are jobs that are so difficult to deal with, especially with your mental health. And then we should be thankful to God with the jobs that, people regularly have. So thank you so much, because what you're doing is not just for yourself or your family. It's also for the whole community. So do you have a message for people across the world who are looking to get into journalism, what they should be doing and what they should be preparing themselves?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think I would just ask, like, what is stopping you from doing it? I remember when I was in the process of thinking if I was going to apply to be a journalist, like to go to journalism school, and my therapist was like, well, what's the worst that can happen? You try it and you hate it, and then you try something else. I was like, that's a really good point. And so, like, try it out. See if you like it. Talk to journalists. Like, we get emails all the time. A lot of emails are online. Like, find them, email them. I've had conversations with war correspondents before just because I reached out to them. And I think a lot of times, most people are willing to have a conversation with someone to
guide them.
Yeah, to guide them and to ask them what it's like. And not everyone goes to school, which is totally fine. So I think, reaching out to journalists, looking at what schools in your area have to offer, I think that would be the first advice. And because I think one thing I've noticed of people who are journalists is we're naturally curious.
Yes.
I'm that person that is asking all of these questions. And I also know how to Google things. I know how to find things really well. And these are things that I didn't really know and obviously you can learn these skills, but they already were kind of natural for me. So if you already have that bent it does make it a lot easier. And also, I'll just add, if you're introverted, if you're shy, you're like, I can't do that, I'm too shy. There's strength in that. As an introvert, as a quieter person, I notice a lot of the details that my colleagues don't. They're brilliant in other ways, and they're great journalists, and we all have the strength. And as my editor kind of says, we're like a fishbowl. We're all different fish. We all have our own strengths, and we bring that to the table. And with that, there's such strength in that. So don't discount yourself because you're too introverted or too extroverted or too whatever. Just give it a shot.
Yeah, so I think, it's just that life is so simple. We're just trying to complicate it. I'm thinking a lot.
Yeah.
So just go with what your heart says. And if journalism is not your thing, you will get it, but at least try it.
Yeah.
Because it makes you a more curious person, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Anna, for being here today and sharing your story. And I still know that there are some more elements to your story. And in case viewers want to know that, they can comment below with the questions that they have, and we can invite you over for the next part of the interview.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.